right. Well, welcome to Men's Mental Health Monday. I'm your co-host, Dr. Dawn.
And I'm your co-host, Dr. Q.
Good. And today we have a special show. We're going to be talking about the holiday season
Yep.
and how that affect men mentally going
Yep.
through stuff. So the things we're going to be talking about, like, the financial pressure that, men deal with when dealing with the holiday season and dealing with family, different point of views and politics and all that. And also the sense of feeling lonely during the holiday. So how's the holiday season treating you so far?
So far so good. But something that always comes up every year is I kind of remember back when I was a kid growing up, like there'd always be tons of people all around you. And now that I'm getting a little bit older, I mean, there's still people around, but not as much.
Yeah, I mean, same for me too. I mean, the fact moved from Florida to here in Washington State where I don't really have to spend a lot of time with family. So I definitely understand what you're feeling through. So let's talk first about the financial pressure, usually, men deal with, how big your family is too, right?
Yeah.
Like you have nephews and nieces and then all those people you have to buy gift for. So the point I say you have a budget, I think that's really important for men, everyone really, like going to this holiday season, not even just holiday, like pretty much your whole life,
Right.
to have a budget or how much money are you willing to spend on things,
Right.
And also I feel like for the holiday season, one thing you can always do is like trying to buy stuff early, don't wait.
Black Friday?
Exactly, right? I mean, throughout the year, you can, pick something here and there and just save them, right? So you don't have the pressure. It's like, okay, well, Christmas in 2 days, and you have like a boatload of gift you want to buy. So that's probably going to add more pressure to you too.
I mean, this might seem kind of silly, but like the people that clip coupons to like,
hey, it works.
Hey, no, that really works. And honestly,
works.
kind of like you're mentioning, staying ahead of it.
Yeah.
Is the main win, because I know some people don't know, like, oh, what do I get? But it's not really what you get. It's the intention behind what you get. I mean, I know some kids don't understand that. I remember being a kid myself. I'm like, I want a PlayStation.
Exactly.
If I don't get that PlayStation, it's not a good Christmas. But beyond all that stuff, like, it's the things that you get people that really matter, That, even though it sounds kind of silly, those socks that they give you, like, when you're a kid. But now it's like, bro, I need those socks. They mean so much. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
But little things like that, and then if you can put intention into it, like I had a friend that made like a little cup, and he used to, like threw, pottery and stuff. So he made the cup and initials and everything. Bro, I still use that cup.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. If you're someone that like handy, you can make stuff. And like you say, the intention is what's more important.
Yeah.
If someone were to make something and give it to you, for me, I feel like I'll value that even more because it comes from the heart. It's not just going to a store and go buy something, but they actually take the time and make it.
Yeah.
So those are definitely few things like we can try to incorporate into the gift or whatever we want to buy. If you can make something, do it. Have a budget, to know how much you want to spend. And of course, trying to buy stuff a little bit early. Don't wait last minute to buy everything all at once.
Yeah, no, I think those are great tips. I mean, I don't know if you have any other ones that you've come up with.
No, those are the key one. I feel like will definitely help you take some pressure off, going to the holiday. Yeah.
Yep. No.
And the second point we talk about is, again, holiday season can be this time where, you get to meet with family, having fun, food and all that. But we know there are a few people out there, like family-wise, whenever you go to see them, that can definitely make you sweat a little bit because like they have strong opinion pretty much about everything.
Yeah.
Right? Do you have anyone in your family or have you ever experienced something like that where, you're on the table eating and this person says something and like, did you just say that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be calling anyone out, per se, but yeah, definitely there's been times where you just want to have a good dinner, maybe have a little bit of light talk, maybe get into something a little bit, but not to the point where you get like, emotional about it. But yeah, there's been a few times where that's happened, and I think the main thing that it's helped me kind of go through those situations without, at the end of the day, just, like causing chaos or leaving being like, is it's just kind of being like a little more forgiving. I mean, we're around people that we love a lot, but at the same time, because you love them so much, they can easily get under your skin.
Exactly.
So I think a part of that is understanding like, hey, the conversations may not be the most favorable that you would prefer to have, but just having that kind of expectation of like, it's going to be a little chaotic, but you're going to look forward to these things because, I mean, hopefully you're surrounded by people you love, right?
Exactly.
So I just kind of do that. I just kind of like curve my expectations a little bit. And if someone says something, don't take it so personal. It's easy to. And I mean, sometimes they know exactly what to say to get under your skin. But just kind of remind yourself, you know, like they may be going through something right now.
True.
And maybe they're asking for help or maybe they're venting. I mean, the person that comes to mind, honestly, it's they aren't very good about managing their emotions. So the way they manage it is they kind of like poke at you repeatedly. And what they're trying to say is like, hey, I want attention. Can you give me a little bit of attention? Because that's going to make me feel a little bit better about myself. But instead of saying that or like being like, oh, you know, what's going on with you? And not making it about themselves, they're like, oh, no, like this is what it is. This is what's happening. Yeah.
And then one thing I feel like is really important too, dealing with those family members is to talk to them, right? Because some people, they're not even being aware of those things because that's who they are, right? So be able to initiate that conversation and pretty much like say, hey, you know what? I understand you have strong values or opinion about this and that, but understand when you say this is how it affect me, right? Because if you're just sitting there and then like dying in silence, it's like, it's not going to change. Every year is going to be the same. And then not to say the person's going to change really, but at least you let them know, hey, you know what? When you talk about this type of topic, this is how it affect me. And hopefully, like you said, you're going to be surrounded with people that love you and you love them. Hopefully the love they have for you will kind of make them to kind of, okay, well, I need to
mellow out
a little bit. Not talking about this when we're in family and, you know, having a good time.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I definitely think that, you know, if you're not able to express to someone how you're feeling, how are they ever going to know?
Exactly.
And instead of being able to have a discussion, you're going to react. And I think those reactions lead to some of that, you know, altercation.
Yeah. You don't want to turn like a family time into a fist fight.
I mean, ideally not. I mean, unless that's your thing, and if maybe that's your thing, maybe you should go and get like an amateur boxing, you know?
True, but you don't want to be fighting your uncle over
over food or something. No, ideally not, man.
Ideally not.
No.
And I feel like the third point we have for today, I mean, it's probably much like the most valuable because, again, holidays we're supposed to be surrounded with people, right? But a group of us is like the worst time because that reminds you of either a family member that passed away that's no longer going to be here, or let's say if you just broke up with your partner, right, and you have to go through this holiday season by yourself, you know, that sense of loneliness, you know, can be really, you know, pulling down on you. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think that definitely loneliness is something that kind of creeps up, especially during the holidays, just because everywhere you look, it's about family, it's about community, it's about people. And if you don't, kind of like Valentine's Day, that's another example, right? Have a couple. If you don't have that, that kind of brings back some of those insecurities, some of those mental barriers or whatever you want to phrase them, but definitely some of that feeling of loneliness. But I think you can dissect it a little bit, right? So the way that I like to think about it, because there's been some holidays, you know, like especially when I was going through medical school where I wasn't able to go visit family or, you know, a significant other. And what do you do when you're by yourself? I mean, you may have some people around, but they're going to their families, right?
True.
And I guess the way that I kind of reframe it is that I go, well, am I feeling lonely or am I alone? Right? Because sometimes people confuse being alone with loneliness.
True.
And I think if you feel like you're alone, that's different. I think that can be very easily remedied, right? I mean, you could do one of my favorite pastimes, which is go to the mall and people watch. That would be one thing, just to kind of get your little fill of like humanity and, you know, get a little laugh in or two. People do interesting things when you people watch. But if it's loneliness, then I think it has to do more with your own ability to cope with your insecurities and what kind of baggage you may be holding on to. Because, I mean, personally, when I feel lonely, it's because I don't feel like I value myself, or there's some part of me that doesn't feel fulfilled, and it's coming up in this different shape, which is, you know, looks like loneliness. Because it's easier and more tangible to go like, I'm not good enough, therefore I should deserve to be lonely. And this feeling that I'm having is justified, right? So to kind of go around that, I think is doing your passions, like what make you happy, right? So for me, sometimes when I feel lonely, well, in the past I did it more, is I would do something that would make me feel like I'm part of a community or that I'm, appreciated. Whether that, going for a run with a friend, something like that, or I used to play video games, so I would go on to like the big group meetings and like play games, whether that was, one thing or another. Or weirdly enough, I would actually watch one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Because then it kind of helps reframe that mental spot of like, like I'm not good enough, people aren't around me, this or that, and being able to just be appreciative of like the moment. Because I think that's what it is. I think a lot of times when people feel lonely, they're not living in the moment. They're in the past or they're in the future, things that they lost or things that they want. Instead of just being in the moment, being like, yeah, this feeling sucks, but, like, why am I having this feeling?
Yeah. And then I think just to kind of expand a little bit more into that, like, be able to identify, like, how you being lonely or are you alone, right? And like you said, if you're alone, there's so many things you can do to kind of, like, fill that in. But if you feel lonely, it kind of like, well, what is it? What's going on that makes me feel that way?
Yeah.
And then sometimes, maybe you're not going to be able to get to that point on your own. So be open and be like, well, maybe I need to talk to a therapist could be a good way to help you. Because, if you feel, whatever you feel about yourself, you feel you're not good enough, trying to mitigate that on your own to try and say, well, what can I do to feel better? Might be a hard take.
Oh, yeah.
So be able to open and seek a therapist to talk to someone that can help you get to that point, I think is really important too.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that, like, have you ever heard of the analogy of kind of what therapy is?
Yeah.
No? So a therapist is a person, obviously. They're
so.
not, yeah, I hope so. They're not superhuman, like they have their own problems, right?
Yeah.
And you have your own problems, but the benefit of them is that they're able to be more objective about it, meaning they don't have feelings, thoughts that you have going on about yourself. So they're able to see a part of you that you're not able to see easily, right? And so the analogy basically goes like they're on top of their mountain and they can see you trying to climb up to the top of your mountain and they can see all the obstacles that are going to take to get to, where you need to be. And they're going to kind of be able to slowly indicate them to you. They're not going to be like, go left all the way. No, they're going to you should consider doing this and this because you'll be able to get through it more readily and easily and you'll have less difficulty, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I think of like a therapist. It's just someone that has your back that's trying to let you know, oh, I think I see these things coming up. Just watch out for them because it'll make your journey more smooth.
Yeah, and then I also think like a therapist can be like a mirror too, because sometimes like when you're having a therapy session, I mean, the therapist, what they're doing is pretty much like repeating the thing you were saying.
Yeah, yes,
right.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, okay, well, they're pretty much like a mirror, so you can see yourself and kind of reflecting what you're talking about. Because more than likely, like you're gonna come up with your own suggestion of what you need to do, right? Sometimes, right?
True.
Sometimes you're like, oh, yeah, maybe I should do this instead. The therapist will be like, yeah,
that's
maybe
great.
you should do that. And then that's how it works. So yeah, definitely seek help will be great things to do. And I feel like something else we need to do, like the coping mechanism that we use the time when we are feeling lonely, right? Because most people, they will drink a lot, right?
Yeah.
Or smoke or whatever else that we're doing. So be able to like change those coping mechanism to something a little bit healthier, like you're saying, exercise or meditation or meet up with a friend or watch a movie to kind of like take your mind off of it. All those things are, I feel like, it's better in a way than just sitting here and just drinking and dragging on your sorrow. And yeah. So long term, that might even be detrimental to your own health. So be mindful about that. Be open-minded and seek help, and change your coping mechanism could be a good way to moving forward.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I definitely think that, like I said earlier, I think that a lot of people are stuck in the past.
Yeah.
They're looking forward to the future and they're not living in the moment. And yeah, I mean, some of these things like watching a movie does kind of keep you not in the moment because you're looking at something that's
and you have to be careful what kind of movie you're watching too, because you know, we talk about holiday season. Most of those movies about family and loving, and maybe that
doesn't help.
Doesn't really help because you're probably sitting there like, yeah, that could be my own family, and that could add. So pick and choose what kind of movie you watch. Maybe something like not romantic.
No, I wouldn't go down that route. I'd probably be something more like a comedy.
A comedy would be a good thing to do.
Yeah,
at least you'll be laughing and having a good time, and maybe that would help.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so this is kind of the show we're going to be doing, right? We're going to be talking about men's mental health, where we're going to be talking about different things that affect men, depression, anxiety, grieving, and all that kind of good stuff. So that was a special edition for the holiday season. And
nice and quick.
And then, so we look forward to talk to you guys more about men's mental health.
Yep, until the next one.
Peace. Okay.
Done.